Yeah, nice level acceleration. Climb out at 60 knots.
How's it going, guys, and welcome back to Los Alamitos. Today we're exploring the incredible mission behind the machine, which is the UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter. So strap in because this one is going to be a wild one. Since it was introduced in the late 1970s, the UH-60 Black Hawk has become one of the most important and recognisable helicopters in modern military aviation. Designed to replace the aging Huey, it brought a new level of speed, survivability and versatility to the battlefield, capable of transporting troops, conducting medevac missions and operating in some of the most hostile environments on Earth. Over the decades, the Black Hawk has been at the centre of global operations, from large-scale conflicts to humanitarian relief, evolving constantly to meet the demands of modern warfare. Its legacy has been shaped not just by the missions it's flown, but by the crews who've trusted it with their lives. And today, that legacy continues.
Captain Stephen Warnick. I'm the operations officer here at the flight facility. So I'm the operations officer on the civilian side, where we manage all the flights on the day during the week. Then I'm also the operations officer during the weekend for the unit itself. So essentially all missions that go out, all training that we do, anything operational, I'm kind of in charge of here. We do a multitude of missions, right? So we have on the unit side, on the military side, it's all focused on go to war. So that's your tactical flying, low-level flying, all your mission tasks and flights. But then on the facility side, we also add in what's called Discus, and that's all your national disaster relief, your firefighting, anything that if the state needs that we can respond to, we'll go and help. So we'll have a large presence potentially in like the 2028 Olympics, potentially some security there. We just did a search and rescue in the mountains a couple months ago for a missing hiker, things to that nature. It doesn't change our training day to day. All the training we do is kind of to envelop both of those. So like sometimes we'll go out and do sling loads. We'll hook up sling blocks or like big concrete blocks to the helicopter. We'll go practice on flying with those. Other days we'll put the Bambi bucket underneath and pick up a bunch of water. Other times we'll just go and fly like in the mountains, get low level, flying tactical. So it really just depends on what the pilot wants to do for the training. We give them those options, and then we mitigate that with our brief and approval process to make sure they're doing what they need to be doing to get ready for anything that kind of comes our way. So the base itself is, so it's the Joint Forces Training Base. So we host not just the Army, we host the Navy, Air Force, Marines, really anybody that wants to use it. It's kind of the playground in Southern California to come and kind of host those people. So like currently right now we have the National Guard, us here with our helicopters. The Army Reserve have their helicopters here, their medevac. Currently we have like 160th SOAR here, so they'll come and stay while they're going and doing their training around the local area. When people come to Southern California to train, we have a really good hub to do it because there's not a lot of full-timers here normally, so we are able to accept a lot of people and able to reach a little bit farther than like some places down in San Diego. It's a little bit too far south, right? So we're in a pretty tactically sound location here in Southern California.
Here at Los Alamitos, that legacy is carried forward every single day. Training, preparation and repetition, all designed to ensure that when the moment comes, there's no hesitation. Flying the Black Hawk isn't about one specific role, it's about mastering a range of competencies, each one critical to mission success. And today, we're going to experience that firsthand, across 4 separate sorties, each focused on a different way this aircraft is used in the real world. To understand what that looks like in the air, you first have to understand the machine itself. The Black Hawk is built for adaptability, twin engines delivering the power to lift heavy loads and operate in extreme environments. a fully articulated rotor system designed for stability and control, and a cockpit that allows the crew to manage complex missions under pressure. Every element of this aircraft has been engineered with one goal in mind: to perform when it matters most, because when you're in the air, there's no margin for error.
My name is CW3 Simon Totten of the United States Army, California Army National Guard, and I'm a UH-60 Blackhawk pilot.
And this is a pretty cool piece of kit, right? So tell me all about it. What is this simply?
Yeah, so this is a UH-60 Mike utility helicopter. So this is one of the primary rotorcraft platforms that the Army uses, and this is basically the SUV of the sky. This is designed for everything. It's designed for cargo, for carrying, for a lot of external hoist missions where we move cargo from a long line, a sling load. We fight fires with it, fire buckets, stuff like that. But it's the design is basically, it's good for everything, just about everything. So you have the special forces will use the direct action penetrator where they attach the rockets, and then everybody else will attach a cargo hook, and, like I said, fire buckets, and we can have crew rappel out of it. We can take them up and have them jump out of it for the airborne units and stuff like that. But 2 engines, 4 blades, so the engines have 1,960 horsepower each. Provides just an absolute beast of a machine. Moving back towards the back, you'll see that horizontal plane there. That's called the stabilator. So the stabilator, all that does is give you more longitudinal control, give you nose up, nose down authority. And it helps to give us the ability to control our helicopter better when we're in dynamic environments such as flying low level, coming into LZs, dust landing, stuff like that. Ours has a max range of about 2.5 hours of flight time. Our max speed is 190 knots, 193 knots.
Nice. It's quick.
But yeah, underneath all of these, basically the skin is designed to protect it from the elements, protect it from combat, any type of damage or shrapnel or anything like that. So all of the compartments can be opened. So like underneath this one right here is a drive shaft. And so if you were to open this up, you have a drive shaft that goes all the way from the top up there, runs all the way through the back and controls the tail rotor.
Gotcha.
And so each of the components, we have to be able to inspect them before flight to make sure there's no damage. We have to be able to inspect them for maintenance, be able to take them out, change them out, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so all of the panels are removable for the ease of access and stuff like that.
Yeah, so one more thing that I wanted to mention as well is obviously we know that these helicopters can do pretty hard, quick assault landings as well. So
absolutely.
Can you talk to us a little bit about what's going on here as well? I mean, it must be able to take quite a load, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So these the hydraulic struts that we have are capable of sustaining up to an 11G landing.
Wow.
Now that is, by all intents and purposes, a crash landing. But it can survive an 11G landing before other things start coming apart, before the occupants are going to be fatally injured, right? You're going to feel an 11G landing, obviously. Sure. We generally try to keep our landings a little less than that, about 1G or less when we're doing normal operations. But when we do have to insert to an LZ quickly, when we do have to put it down for engine loss or something like that, it is still capable of surviving and being reused after that.
All right, so clearly this is where the magic happens, and wow, that's a lot of buttons.
Yes, absolutely. One of the biggest lies I was told prior to becoming a helicopter pilot is I saw this and it was super intimidating, and they're like, don't worry, you don't need to know what they all do. That wasn't true at all. If you can see up here, so you have fuses that belong to all of our primary systems, along with lighting and systems, the APU up here, and then coming down across here, so we've got our main MFD screens, or multifunction display screens, and each of these has multiple pages to it, and so it's like the inception of all of the information that you need. It's just layers upon layers upon layers, and so basically each of them control a different system, and so part of my job as a helicopter pilot is to make sure that I understand my aircraft so that if something starts going wrong, I know where to look to solve the problem.
Got it.
And so, you have things like this as a fuel panel, and so like if we have external tanks or outboard tanks and I'm not getting fuel to transfer well enough, I need to look here in order to make sure that the tanks transfer. Or if we need to discharge something like flares, chaff, we have all of those panels and systems that we can use in order to make sure it's just like, the chaff is running out, where would I look to see how many I have left, or whatever the case is. So, but yeah, so all of the systems, then you get into your primary flight controls. And so right here you have your collective, which is basically your up, down. And then this is your cyclic, which is your left, right, forward, back.
Got it.
So you got your steering wheel and then your gas, for lack of a better word. And everybody online is probably going to hate that analogy if they know what a helicopter is, but that's the easiest way to say it. And then obviously then you have your pedals down on the floor, and that gives you your ability to change the nose direction left, right.
Got it. So when we talk about, obviously we have a co-pilot and we have a pilot, obviously, how integral is it to have two people in the seats? I mean, is it capable of being ran by one pilot if someone was to get knocked out or something? I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the Army, and this is going to sound super morbid, so I hope nobody gets offended by this one, we have redundancies for the sake of being able to lose one of them, and that includes pilots. So yes, technically every pilot in this aircraft is supposed to be able to handle the entire aircraft by themselves. For training purposes, we don't do that, and then obviously, like as an experienced aviator, part of my job is to make sure that the less experienced aviators gain experience, and it's hard for them to do unless I'm in the cockpit with them, showing them. And then we have instructor pilots to teach people stuff like that. But yeah, so a single pilot can handle the entire aircraft, but at a certain point it becomes an unsustainable level of workload to try and do all of the time.
Got it. So let's talk about this then. So I'm
Absolutely.
seeing a big red trigger. So what do you do with that then?
That is actually the saddest thing. I'm going to ruin this for a lot of people. The big red trigger, that is our radio button. So if you pull that in order to make a radio call. And I know I thought it was guns as well. Hey, too close for missiles, switching to guns. It wasn't it at all. But yeah, so that is our radio button. Unfortunately, that's a big one that that saddens a lot of people. So if you think of a computer, like a car computer, we have them in our engines as well as the brains. This would be the muscle. This is how everything gets controlled. And if it looks complicated, it's actually even more complicated than that. So these are hydraulic servos. So these control everything. Yaw, SAS, roll, everything like that is controlled. So basically we have this massive rotor mass that's trying to move thousands upon thousands of pounds. And obviously if you were in charge of doing that by yourself with the controls, you'd have to be either the strongest person alive or it would never do anything.
Right.
And so the engineers who designed this thing created this system. It's a mechanical mixing unit, which basically means that they know that if you put in a left input, it needs to change the blade pitch, the stabilator needs to come up, it needs to move all of these in order to make that easier for you. So it's hydraulically assisted. It didn't used to be a lot of the older helicopters. It had a lot of systems that you were responsible for being able to move on your own. And that's just the genius of some of these. So you have your super large hydraulic pumps, and there's 3 of those. There's 2 for redundancy, and then we even have a redundancy on that because of how important this system is.
Nice.
And then because they needed extra space, you have a lot of our airflow systems in order to do a lot of the cooling, anti-ice, bleed air, and stuff like that.
Nice.
And then moving back towards this system right here. So this is obviously, it's called the mast, but this is, everything happens here. So if it starts anywhere else in the helicopter, it started here first. And what this does is this gives us the ability, obviously, to fly. So all of the blades are connected to this, but then you have arms that change the pitch. We have a swash plate that allows all of them to move. And when you're moving the collective, it's called the collective because it collectively changes the pitch of the blades at the same time.
Got it.
And that's the basics of it. In the simplest way, I honestly couldn't even describe it in the way that would probably be the most accurate myself. But that is about as...
It's a big hunk of metal, that's
big
for sure.
hunk of metal, absolutely. Yeah,
I
the
love it.
transmission that's directly below this by itself weighs 900 pounds. And it is just a massive, massive machine.
Wow, seriously impressive stuff.
So my name is Sergeant Neff. I am a UH-60 helicopter mechanic and crew chief, and I've been working at this facility for 4 years. So as soon as this aircraft lands, we'll have a team that comes out to recover gear, prep for the next flight, and also do this thing called a PMD. It's what makes sure the aircraft is safe at all times. It's a recurring thing. It's after every flight or every 7 days to make sure it's fully capable for the next mission. For every 1 hour of flight, it's going to be 4 hours of maintenance time. So they do require a lot of maintenance, but it's a lot of fun and is able to complete a lot of missions with that 1 hour of time. So it makes it worth it.
Before we even leave the ground, everything is deliberate. Systems coming online, checks being called, switches engaged one by one. There's a rhythm to it, a process refined through years of training and experience. And as the rotors begin to turn, you can feel the aircraft come alive beneath you. This is where it all begins. first flight focuses on low-level flight, one of the core competencies of operating the Black Hawk, flying fast, low and controlled, often just feet above terrain. The objective here is to move quickly while remaining difficult to detect, using the environment to your advantage. Every movement is deliberate, terrain, obstacles, speed, all constantly being assessed and adjusted to in real time. It's a level of flying that demands absolute focus and absolute trust in the crew around you.
HB here, eastbound low level.
Obviously we're about to do some low-level stuff. What goes into that? I mean, how do you train for it? How difficult is that? And yeah, talk to me a bit about it.
The low-level stuff, I mean, it's something you train in flight school. Like you do a whole tactical phase of flight training. The difficulty of it just kind of, you can adjust it to your skill level pretty easily by just either adding more altitude or slowing down. How we train it here, we have a couple routes that we can do more time. The more time you get, you can go out a little further and do some cooler routes, but just all about basically survivability. So the whole idea is to get as low as possible to mitigate radar threats, and then eventually you want to build up to where you can be low and fast, so that helps mitigate also the direct fire threats like machine guns and things like that. But the whole idea is the whole idea is you're trying to mask your movements from the enemy by using terrain.
How much more challenging is it at night than it is in the day, would you say?
Not to be cliche, it's literally night and day difference. It's so much harder during the night just because NVG have a limited field of view. Yeah, so NVG is just a lot harder because you don't have that peripheral vision that helps you gauge your airspeed. You don't get that feedback as well at night. And then also, you know, if there's low loom or the vegetation doesn't reflect or have good contrast, especially where we're going right now, there's just pretty much all dark green. So when you go in the enemy area at night under goggles, you'll feel like you're at 50 feet, but you'll be like 200 or 300. So it's just really hard to gauge the depth and all that. And they teach you that in flight school, and they teach you all the there's.
As we drop down to the low level, everything speeds up. You're in between mountains now. The ground rises up, the margins are tight, and every input becomes more deliberate. You literally feel like you should not be this low. At this height, the crew is constantly scanning terrain, obstacles, power lines, anything that can become a threat. You're not just flying over the landscape, you're working with it, following contours, adjusting altitude, and staying unpredictable. And all the while, communication stays constant. Small corrections, small adjustments, keeping everything tight, controlled and precise. When you look left and right in the passenger seat, it's crazy to see mountains on your side.
Yeah, follow the low motor here. Sounds good. Alright, start slowing back. We got another sharp left coming up. Looks like through that valley there. I'll climb up over the terrain. I'm initiated climb. Roger. Looks clear on the other side. Alright, coming up and right. Roger, clear right. Leveling off. Slight left turn. Roger. Looks clear. Oh, big open valley. You want straight and then around that peak right there in that valley at
Sounds good.
10 o'clock.
And you're good to come right.
You clear right? Right there.
Clear of obstacles.
You clear of obstacles. Heading turn.
Yeah, stop turn there. Our second flight shifts focus to assault landings and troop insertions. This is where precision meets commitment. The crew identifies the landing zone, builds the approach, and once committed, there's no second guessing. Timing, positioning, communication, everything has to align perfectly. These are the moments where the aircraft becomes more than just transport, it becomes a critical link in the mission itself. Coming into the landing zone, you can feel the tempo shift. The crew is building the approach, calling out position, wind, spacing, everything being processed in real time. Once the decision is made, the commitment is instant. There's no hesitation here, the aircraft drops in, stabilises and holds just long enough to complete the insertion. It's controlled aggression executed with precision. And then just as quickly, we're back out, resetting for the next run.
TGT goes up to 560 something. Good start on number 2.
Our third flight takes place at night, and everything changes. With limited visibility, the crew relies on night vision systems, instrumentation, and experience to navigate terrain and execute maneuvers. Depth perception shifts, reference points disappear, and yet the expectation remains the same: precision, control, and execution. Operations like these have played a role in some of the most significant missions in modern history, where stealth, coordination, and accuracy define the outcome.
Alright, 120 on my side, make sure it's 100 on your side.
Roger, minus 1 set to 100.
Perfect. Alright, so now we're past that wire portion, we're going to descend into it. Alright, clear right. Clear right. Alright, so before the turn, we'll go into it. I'm at 50 knots right now, about 200 feet. And then clear left. Clear left. Alright, so before the turn, but since we're going fast enough, I'm going to turn with it. So since we're lower and slower, we can use the pedals to start helping us. What's up?
I was going to say, you got you going at 40.
Yep.
As the light disappears, the workload doesn't change, but the way you interpret the world does. Through night vision, everything flattens. Distance becomes harder to judge, movement feels different, and the crew has to rely on training, instruments, and each other more than ever. Every call matters, every adjustment matters, because at night, there's far less room for a bit of error.
Alright, so we're going to speed up a little bit, going remote standby. Going to increase it to 60 and then 70, and we'll go from there. Alright, then clear left. Clear left. And then the AHO is going to be above the trees. Clear right. Clear right. Hear that quick switch back up turning before we get to the apex of the turn. Alright, and then back to left. Clear left. Clear left. Alright, so back to the left. Use the pedal a little bit left pedal to help us turn, right? You're 4 miles out, you got a 2-step of wires, those are going to be taller.
Roger that.
Roger.
Alright, there's a nice little wires there, crossing right over, no factor.
And this is the set that leads into the quarry that are marked here on the map.
Roger that, these are what?
Right here about 40 to 30 feet of 190 knot ground speed. A little bit of rising terrain over here, so we're going to maintain this.
Come down with the terrain, we'll lower collective, adjust cyclic accordingly.
You have the option.
Roger that. We're at 2,500, so...
Okay, so, Junior, it's for you. You see this tall building, 1 o'clock low, about a mile out, half a mile now?
Yep.
Let's go. And coming down. Clear down right. Clear down left. Tail, please.
Your tail wheel is transient and unlocked.
Alright, tail left, nose right. Tail clear left. Nose right. Alright, Charlie 4 is open. Roger.
The final sortie brings everything together, formation flying. Multiple aircraft operating as a single unit, each pilot maintaining position, spacing and awareness at all times. It's a demonstration of trust, coordination and discipline, where every movement has to be mirrored, controlled and understood across the entire formation. But today, it means something more. The flight is about camaraderie, and the bond built through years of flying, training and operating side by side. Because for one of these pilots, this isn't just another sortie, it's his final flight. A send-off, marked the only way it can be, in the air, with the team. This is where individual skill becomes collective performance, and where career comes full circle.
How'd you find yourselves in this position then? How'd you get here?
I came into the Army in a program called
Left turn coming up.
Roger. I came into the Army Street to Seat. It's a program called Street to Seat. You start as a civilian, you go to basic training, then you go to Warrant Officer Candidate School, then you go to flight school. That's how I came in. I was not prior enlisted.
Coming left.
Yeah.
Clear left.
Very nice. What's the best bit about the job?
This. 100% this, and so I work maintenance. I'm a maintenance test pilot, working with the maintainers, all the back shops, everyone together to get all these aircraft flyable so we can do cool stuff like this, and making sure I just release safe aircraft for everyone out here to fly, and that's kind of like makes the job all worth it. Like we, doing fires and getting the aircraft up so we can dump water on fires, and doing, really cool.
Left air coming inside for fuel check.
Roger. Just doing really cool missions and, celebrating Mike Nobriga for his almost 29 years of service, and he's been a huge part of my career. So I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him.
And what goes into making these things fly then? So from maintainers to people on the ground, crew chief, some of the good ones at least. What goes into making these things fly and keeping them up to speed?
Kind of like everything, it starts in supply, right? We don't fly without supply. Aircraft will break, or it just has routine maintenance or TBO, time before overhaul. All that's done, right? They order the part, maintainers put it on, and if it requires a test flight, then I go out and test fly it. Crew chiefs are part of the crew. They are all maintainers. Every single crew chief here is an aircraft maintainer. So if we have to, emergency land, or we land overnight somewhere that we have scheduled maintenance or unscheduled maintenance, we have, basically onboard maintenance support.
Can you just give us a walkthrough of what's going on here today then?
So today is an air movement, just a movement of 9 aircraft as part of a retirement flight for one of our long-time...
Left turn coming up.
Roger. One of our long-time pilots here. He started off here as a maintainer, moved over to Blackhawks as a maintainer, and then went to flight school and became a pilot. He's been a huge mentor to me, a friend, true friend on the outside of the Army also. And he taught me how to be a maintenance test pilot. He taught me how to be a pilot. So, we're just trying to show our appreciation to him for his 28 years and change of service.
And Mr. Nobriga is one of the best helicopter pilots in the world, so...
Oh, he's definitely flying like a storage. Oh, yeah. Coming left.
Clear left.
We got a snag at the 12 o'clock.
Visual.
Coming left.
Clear left.
All right. Right.
Just slowing down to 12.
Visual.
But beyond the flying, what defines this environment is the people. Pilots, crew chiefs, maintenance teams, each playing a critical role in keeping the aircraft operational and mission ready. It's a system built on trust, accountability and shared responsibility, because when it comes to operating at this level, no one does it alone.
Definitely one of the most unique jobs there are, right? So I came off active duty last year, coming from a very high op tempo, and now getting here, I mean, it's great. I live 15 minutes away. I can come in and fly essentially whenever I want. I get to manage an important mission, right? So like, it's one of those things that like could very much make a difference. A natural disaster hits and we're called on. Now we can go out and accomplish a mission, hope potentially save lives. So it's a very meaningful mission. And the best part about it is, I mean, like, we have to fly these multi-million-dollar helicopters for free, right? Like, it's a pretty cool opportunity, and the training opportunity here is like the best probably in the world. I think it's more of a military thing in general. The relationships you develop compared to anywhere else in the world is just unmatched.
Thank you guys for watching this video today. It was absolutely epic. If you want to go and see my past videos, go and check out the channel. Make sure you subscribe, like and leave a comment so you can see everything coming up in the near future. There's some really awesome stuff in the pipeline. As for now guys, see you in the next one. Have a great day.